Hello everybody, back to another wonderful visitor, interview partner in today's Frameless Forum at the Jena FullDome Streaming Festival on May 15th, 2020. And right now we are actually moving our attention to the Southern Hemisphere, to Melbourne in Australia. And my interview partner is Warik Lawrance, who runs the planetarium in Melbourne and the Museum of Victoria. And so, hi, Warik, can you hear me? Can you see us?
Hi, Mickey. Yes, it's great to chat with you.
Okay.
It's been some time.
So, I think many people in the FullDome scene have realized that you've created a festival that has a very, very poignant and special name. It's the Dome Under Festival in Melbourne. Now that happened recently. Can you tell us a little bit about, well, your involvement to the FullDome scene and how this led into creating the festival with the coolest name possible?
Well, thank you. I'm glad you liked the name. I did think it would appeal to all the people in the Northern Hemisphere at least. The festival, I think, it's been a long time coming. I've been to I'm coming to the Jena Festival in 2010, and I just was blown away by how fantastic that festival is, and kudos to all of you guys for putting that festival together every year. It is such an amazing thing, and I would love to get back there. But I for a long time it wouldn't have been viable to try and pull off a FullDome Festival in Melbourne. We really didn't have the scene for it. But over the last 10 years, I started working with the Melbourne International Film Festival here, and we've been running what we call FullDome showcases every year as part of the Melbourne International Film Festival. Now, that is it's a very important film festival in Australia. It's the oldest film festival in Australia. It's about the 5th oldest film festival in the world. It's been going for over 60 years. So very, very well-known festival, high reputation. And so we've been running FullDome showcases with that festival, and that's usually only like 2 nights of screenings, but it's given me the opportunity to collect and bring in, and showcase, some incredible FullDome films over the years. And it grew an audience in that sense. And then a couple of years ago, we started running an evening program. Now, the museum is, where Science Works, it's part of a science museum. We generally don't open in the evenings at all, but I've been wanting for a long time to open the planetarium up in the evenings. So we set up a program which we now call Planetarium Nights, and that's been running for a couple of years, and that's been a big success as well. So that runs every Friday night. We run a show at 7:30 and another show at 9 o'clock, and the 9 o'clock show is always basically FullDome art show. And we change that program every month. And again, that's really kind of grown an audience for FullDome cinema and FullDome artworks. So when I first sort of was really putting this idea together to do the Dome Under Festival, it really kind of came about, well, I mean, I had the idea for several years, but about 12 months ago, or a little over 12 months ago, we were putting together where the next Australasian Planetarium Society conference was going to be held. And that moves around. It's the Australasian Planetarium Society, APS, I'll call it APS from now. That group is made up of planetariums from Australia and New Zealand. We have a conference every year, and then every year that moves from one, it's in a different city. So I was vying to have it in Melbourne, and I thought this is a really good opportunity to actually host a Dome Under Festival and kind of run it concurrently with it, because I knew at least I would automatically have an audience of the 30, 35 people who come to the APS conferences. We're not a big group, but like I knew that would at least give me a base audience to work from, and it was also gave it some credibility as well. And because one of the things was I knew I was going to have to sell this as an idea to Museums Victoria, which is runs the main body of our organisation. So I was going to have to convince them that it was a good idea as well. So interestingly, normally with the APS conference, we normally find no one wants to do it, or we're struggling to find someone to do it. But last year, when we asked at the conference who would like to be the host for next year, both myself and Brisbane put our hands up because we've both had just installed new systems, and we just really wanted to show them off. So we had a little bit of a bidding war that we kind of had to go through to do it. And the big thing, my big sell was I was going to do a Dome Under Festival. So the Dome Under Festival was planned to run on the Saturday and the Sunday, and then we would do the conference on the Monday and the Tuesday, which we did back in February, and it's been hugely successful for us.
Congratulations. We heard about it, and the FullDome community worldwide, I think, took note that yes, there is another shining light in the FullDome scene, and that's Melbourne. I mean, it's been cooking there for a long time, as you mentioned. I was happy to see that one of the Bauer students, Jean Augusto Wittrich, she's from the Philippines, and she took the journey over to Melbourne. So I think we are connected in many ways. And also take notice that there are some incredible FullDome shows coming out of Australia that we've seen being featured in the Jena Festival. So that's ongoing. And I hope that continues to grow. So will there be another Dome Under Festival next year, 2 years? Can we get people excited to prepare and get their stuff featured in your festival?
That's a really good question. Before I do want to just mention, I was so excited that Jing she actually came to the festival. She'd been visiting the Philippines and was on her way back to Germany and decided that she would actually just drop into the festival. So to have the Student Film Award winner at the festival was really, really super exciting. And I have it on word that when her name was announced, she basically just said, "Shut up."
How was that?
And she was delightful, and it is such a wonderful piece, that piece. So I was very that we had, and there was another issue that I was always concerned with the festival, being that we are so far away from the Northern Hemisphere, that it's very difficult to attract filmmakers down here for this festival. We had a number of our sponsors, Evans and Sutherland, and who came down to the festival. We had people from FullDome Pro came down, and we had Ryan White came down. So that was fantastic as well, and to have them at the festival. So the interesting thing with running this festival, to try and make this festival work, certainly one of the things I wanted to make sure was that we were going to open it to the public. I knew I could not rely on attracting 100, 150 filmmakers from all around the world to attend this festival, because I know it's just so hard and expensive to get to Australia. So we made the decision very early on that we would make this open to the public, and that was a great thing as well, because it meant that all the sessions were really, really well attended. And also what we did do as part of the programming was we ran a best of fest. So if people didn't make it along for that weekend, for the rest of February, we were running some of those films during, as our public show during the day. So it was a great opportunity to get more exposure to those films as well. Are we going to run it again? Yeah, good question. I would love to do it again, but as you probably are aware, it's an enormous amount of work to pull a festival off. And we did this as part of doing the APS conference, and that kind of made it much more viable for us as well. I can't see that we're going to be won't be doing it next year, and I think it would possibly really rely on us having the APS conference again in Melbourne. But that said, I believe our conference is going to Wellington in New Zealand next year in February. and they have shown some interest in potentially doing something along the lines of the Dome Under Festival. And I'd be happy if someone, I'd be happy to make it a travelling festival rather than having to always be in Melbourne, because if we could tie it to the APS conference, that would be great.
Well, anyway, I think
there's a lot of questions over.
I hear this as a signal of dedication and commitment and hope, and I definitely support this. And since we are traditionally cooperative with the worldwide dome scene, when you have a call out and ask for submissions, we'll publish this, and I think it's definitely worth for the FullDome scene in the world to have an eye on the next Dome Under Festival wherever it happens. So Warik, I think this was a very nice overview into a vibrant FullDome community and their aspirations. I thank you very much that you dedicated your time to speak to the masses of the Jena FullDome Festival, and come back when we meet again in Jena. We serve great beer in the restaurant, but that's not the only reason we know. So thank you for talking to us. Say hi to all the Dome Under and Down Under people, and fair dinkum, and have a good day.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mickey.
Do you want to wave it at the camera so everybody knows we are waving to each other across the hemispheres in the hemispheric dome? Okay, Warik, bye.